4 years ago, we got The Invisible Man, directed by Lee Winnell, which I really liked. Now we have Wolfman. What's next? Fucking Gill Man? Yep, that's right. Universal have shoveled off another one of their monster IPs to Lee Winnell, this time Wolfman, and it stars Julia Garner, Christopher Abbott, and Matilda Firth. And after watching the trailer for this movie before going into the cinemas, it doesn't leave much to the imagination. It's essentially the story of a family of three trapped on a farm with a monster, the origin of which they do not know, and it is hunting them, while they wait for morning to break in the hopes of a safer exit. But before then, the father is scratched, and then you get to see his slow metamorphosis into a werewolf. And when I say slow, I mean painfully fucking slow. Which has its pros and cons, of course. On one hand, you don't get quite the cool werewolf design that you might have been hoping for in this movie, but on the other hand, there's still that question towards the end of if this person is still in their right mind or not. And that's a thought process that the mother and daughter have to battle with throughout this movie, especially towards the end, I think, when the transformation is becoming a bit more clear and a little bit less of the father is seen through the werewolf makeup. But ironically, at the beginning of this movie, they only really work on the dynamic and character building of the father and the daughter, and not so much the mum, who's kind of left to the side. So at the end, when it's just the mum and the daughter fighting for their life, you only really care about the daughter maybe getting out of this alive and potentially seeing her father get better. And from what little we see of the dynamic between the wife and the husband, it seems like they're on some shaky terms, but it's never fully explored. So when she's like really sad and upset and kind of screaming about her husband being infected and not being himself, you kind of lack the empathy for her because she's just not very well developed. One of the ways they kind of show the strong bond between the father and daughter is that the daughter will put like 4 fingers on her father's forehead and try to read his mind, and the answer for what he's thinking is always, "I love you very much," but there's never any of that kind of bonding between the mum and the daughter. Anyway, enough of the characters. This is a horror movie. How are the fucking scares? They're alright. I think I counted maybe 2 jump scares in the entire movie, which I don't think is a bad thing. Honestly, I think it shows quite a lot of maturity for a horror director to just not rely solely on jump scares. Probably the scariest part of this movie is found in the tension building, but also the slow degradation of the father's mind while he metamorphosizes into a werewolf. Like I said before, it's a painfully slow transformation. However, one of the really cool ways they kind of show his switch into a werewolf is this kind of wolf vision. So the mum and the daughter will try to communicate with the father and see what's going on while he's sick and ill and everything, but he can't really talk or move or do anything, and the point of view of the conversation will change and move around from the mum and the daughter, go all the way around and go into the father's point of view while he's transforming. And I don't know if you know this about wolves, but they pretty much have fucking night vision. So when they're in a dark room having this conversation that goes into the father's point of view, the whole screen will turn into this kind of green, glowing, but also much brighter and lighter scene, and you'll be able to see the mum and the daughter much clearer than you did from their point of view seeing the father. But also the mum and the daughter will get these fucking green glowing eyes like they've been sprayed by fear toxin from Scarecrow and Batman Begins, or maybe if you've taken a photo of someone and you've got flash on and then they get that kind of red eye effect, it looks somewhat like that. And that's probably the most interesting and only cool visual effect you get in the entire movie. Another werewolfish attribute that I thought was really cool in this movie was the howl. It's not your typical werewolf howl that you would see in a lot of other movies. It's a bit more a cross between a lion's roar and also the dong of a bell. I don't think Wolfman failed in setting up the family dynamic at all in this movie. However, it just wasn't a very good one, so it kind of lost me and I didn't really care at the beginning. And aside from a pretty cool tie-back ending, I think there just wasn't enough payoff in the resolution of this story for me to really be satisfied with it. All in all, I think everything that happens with the wolf in this movie is pretty interesting, and for those fleeting moments it can be pretty cool, but then everything around it is just a little bit lackluster, and so Wolfman is probably not a movie I'll be revisiting anytime soon. Anyway, fingers crossed we get to review Gill Man in 2028.